Hello, I'm Pamela Davis. Welcome to episode 67 of the Well Done Life podcast. Hello, and welcome back to episode 67 of the Well Done Life podcast. I'm your host, Pamela Davis. If you're new here, hey, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. And I really hope you stay a while. And if you've been here before, thank you. I appreciate you guys rocking with me so much. This has been a journey, and I really appreciate your support and your feedback. It's helped me grow. I hope that you continue to keep me amongst your podcast favorites. Because I'm going to be honest, I know that there's a lot of voices out there, but hopefully every day, every episode, we get better, and I'm adding value because that's really what it's all about for me. And just to make sure we all kind of understand really what the Well Done Life is about, the Well Done Life podcast I created because I wanted to create a safe space for women to come together, share our stories, and learn. I really felt like as women, there are just so many things that unite us versus the things that divide us, and that we can really grow and learn from each other by just coming together and sharing our experiences. I don't think anyone's an expert at this thing called life. All of us are struggling. Heck, I'm still struggling. We all struggle. But I've learned that by standing in my truth and being able to share my experiences, I heal myself in certain ways because it allows me to acknowledge the things that I just didn't get right or the things that I did get right, as well as it also allows me to connect with people who are on the journey just like me. And I want to create more environments for that because I think as women, we are the foundations of society, and we need as many safe spaces as we possibly can because we have a lot of work to do, ladies, and we need some place where we can feed and grow into each other. So hopefully this is what the Well Done Life podcast is going to be for you, because that's what it is for me. So now that we kind of got that out of the way too, that leads me into my next intention, y'all. I'm a very big person on setting intentions. So this is just part of my routine. Go with it. You'll like it, I hope. I like to start off with love and prayers. I feel like we need more positivity, more love, more energy. So please know that I am truly sending each of you prayers of healing, prayers of peace, prayers of happiness, joy, just unspeakable joy. And we're going to talk more about that. But I really am. The world is moving. We're all moving. Best thing I can say at this point is just make sure you're protecting yourself. Just be mindful and acknowledge the fact that it's okay for people to feel like I'm a little uncomfortable in certain situations. I'm not ready to get all up back in the club and in the restaurants and stuff just yet. Some of us are still trying to stick our little pinky toe back out into the world as we all try to get into a semblance of normalcy again, whatever that is, because I don't really even know what that is anymore. But just, it's okay. It's okay to be anxious. It's okay to be stir crazy, because I'm stir crazy. And it's okay just trying to figure it out. I think we all have to do what's best for us. If we've learned anything through the panorama, we've learned that health is wealth, and that sometimes you have to be gentle with your mental health. So I just want to make sure I send prayers of empathy and grace to everyone, because we all need to be empathetic. We all need to be graceful. Everybody's not a monolith. We all make different decisions based upon the circumstances that we're in. And I think we just need to extend grace to everybody, because people are just doing the very best that they can. I know some people aren't doing the very best that they can, but I try to keep this as a no judgment zone, but you just have to make sure you're focused on doing the best that you can, because I can tell you from experience, minding the business that pays you definitely keeps your life less stressful and your skin glowing and you're sleeping well at night. So it's a wellness thing, honey. It's a wellness thing. Excuse me. So make sure you do what's best to take care of yourself. So good prayers, good energy, good juju is into the atmosphere. That leads me, like I said, I want to talk about joy. This is kind of different for me. I'm recording, actually, it's Thursday night on I don't even know the day of the week anymore. That's so sad. I mean, the dates. It is Thursday, June 3rd at 11:22 at night. I just kind of was feeling it, so I said, I'm going to give it a shot. This isn't my normal recording time, but we're going to do the best that we can because I really feel like this is a great time to talk about joy. Last week's episode, Bring It On, if you haven't had a chance to listen to it, I will definitely put a link in the show notes. I kind of felt like that was a stepping stone because in that episode, I really wanted to talk to us about becoming our own personal cheerleader. Yep, you need to be your own personal cheerleader. As I said last week, I feel like everybody who's listening to this, we need to get into the habit of saying to ourselves on a consistent basis that we are bad bitches, that we are doing amazing, great things, because you have to be able to speak into yourself with good, positive vibes before you can expect anybody else to speak into you. And I'm going to say that again. You have to be able to speak over yourself before you expect anybody else to speak over you. And a lot of times, again, we extend grace to other people, but we don't extend that grace back to ourselves. And I know that this is probably an old message, but I feel like a lot of old messages nowadays need to be dusted off, shined up, and brought back to the front and center because we just keep sitting in a cycle, it seems, of repetitive behavior because we're missing messages. And we can get further into that, just in the state of the world itself. But like I said, this is about us being foundational. This is about us, looking at how we can live our best lives and take care of our mental health and our well-being overall. So in order for you to do that, in order for you to really dig into it, you do have to dig into yourself. You got to get vulnerable. And I've been talking about the book that I'm reading. I am still reading it because work got busy this week, so my reading habits are a little bit wonky. But You Are Your Best Thing by Tarana Burke and Brene Brown. And I'm going to link it in. Again, that book is an anthology book of the Black experience, talking through moments or accounts where people felt shame or vulnerability. Because, again, we don't give a lot of truth to our shame or our vulnerability. And so in that, I feel like, again, it leads you to a point where you have to speak into your challenges, speak into the parts of yourself that are ugly, that speak into the parts of yourself where you have fears, but you have to be able to pull yourself out of that. Because if you don't, you wind up constantly on a highlight reel of pain. And that's not what your life is for. You were built for exceptionally great things. You were built to do more than that. You just need to believe it. So that's where it kind of led me, like I said, to last week's episode, Bring It On, in regards to having a discussion around being your own cheerleader and speaking life into yourself. Like I mentioned in that episode, it takes 30 days to form a habit. If we can do 30 days to change the way that we eat, if we can choose 30 days just to change the way that we sleep, in a lot of instances, some people are doing it even for superficial reasons, just to change the way that they dress, then how come you couldn't take 30 days to speak over yourself every single day, talking about all the wonderful things that you do, what makes you beautiful, talking about the fact that you are a bad bitch. And yes, I hope no one's offended by the word bitch. I'm not offended by it because I look at it like one of those things where I've turned it into something positive, where I know, yes, I'm a strong woman, because unfortunately that word, through misogyny kind of gets utilized against women who are strong. And I think personally, any woman out here who is holding down a job, making it work for their family, or trying to live their best life without trying to finesse anyone or break the law or do whatever, I think you're a baddie. And you need to make sure you acknowledge that, because just to exist in this world every day is an act of courage. And we have to understand that the fact that you get up every day just to make it do what it do, no matter what that is, that means that you are a baddie. So I just want to make sure you know that, and that you are speaking into yourself in that way. Because like I said, it only takes 30 days to form a habit, but how often do we prioritize speaking over ourselves in that way versus the conversations that we give to other people or the people on our job. I mean, a lot of times we are speaking encouragement into others so freely, but we just don't turn that over into ourselves. So that's why I said I think it's one of those habits where we constantly have to be reminded you have to speak life into yourself just like you speak life into other people. So I would definitely recommend that you check out that episode. And like I said, I will have a link for it in the show notes. But that led me into thinking about joy. And actually, full transparency, I was sitting on my couch on Sundays because I spend my Sundays with my sister. My sister and I catch up on all of the television that we don't watch during the week. We watch all our shows. We watch, I'm a big nerd, so I love like the Star Wars, Clone Wars cartoons, or we've watched Bridgerton or The Handmaid's Tale. Like we binge watch certain shows. So that's our time. Each of us has a blanket. We're on a couch. And we watch television and have lunch and chill together, uninterrupted. That is our time. And so I don't know what it was, but I was sitting on my couch last Sunday and this past Sunday with my blanket, and my sister was on her couch with her Harry Potter snuggly, watching television with me. We were just talking and laughing, and all of a sudden I just felt this feeling. It was just a feeling that just radiated inside of me from the top of my head down to the bottom of my feet. I just felt like my insides were warm and my heart was just full, and I just felt this overwhelming sense of contentment. And in that instance, I realized that moments like this just give me pure, unadulterated joy. And I mean, I felt so filled with gratitude to be able to spend time with her like that. And it just, like I said, it just washed over me. And don't get me wrong, I'm always happy to spend time with my family. That's a priority to me. But in that instance, it just hit me like I am so grateful that I have her as, like, she is my best friend, and that we can just bond in this way, and we can just be as friends together and sisters. And I just was like, wow, I have to prioritize more moments where I experience that unadulterated feeling of joy, because I mean, it felt so good. I could only imagine it's like eating the best chocolate cake in the world, if that's your thing. Like I love cake. I love chocolate cake. So that's what I'm equating it to, or just, it's just this moment, this happiness. And I was like, wow, like I said, I have to prioritize more moments like that, because I go through the motions of life every day. And I feel like when I go through the motions of life every day, I prioritize happiness. And happiness is a great level. I think we all aspire for happiness in everything that we do. But I don't every single day have that unadulterated feeling of joy wash over me like that. And I don't know if that's right or wrong. I'm just being honest. I'm a generally happy person, I feel. But at the same time, I don't feel that joy all the time. It's like the moments those are precious moments, because you saw how in my mind I could easily describe that moment to you, because that joy just wrapped its imprint on my soul. It left an imprint on my soul. It definitely was something like, wow, I need to feel it again. And I felt it before. Every now and again, I feel it. Like, when my mom was ill a few years back, and everything worked out, and she had surgery, and she was alive. I felt that unadulterated joy, that gratitude. When I'm with my family, or sometimes when I'm with my friends, I feel that unadulterated feeling of joy. But I noticed I don't feel it all the time. And it made me question, and that was one of the things I said, well, let me come to the pod, let me talk about it, because I'm sure I'm not alone. How often do I prioritize unadulterated joy? And then if I really wanted to get technical, because I love to be that foundational person, you guys know I love a good dictionary lookup. What is really the difference between happiness and joy? Because I have a perception in my mind of what it is, but really, what is it? And because I feel like you have to be able to distinguish the two, because the feelings are so very, very different. And I want more, like I said, more joy. So I said, well, let me just get really clear and really look at what the definition of the two was, and really kind of study what the differences are, because that's what's going to help be able to make sure that we have more moments like that. So that made me go back to my favorite place. Like I said, I love good Merriam-Webster. So let's look at the definition of happiness. Happiness is a noun, and it is a state of well-being and contentment. The synonym, yes, is joy. And so there is a state of content and well-being. It is. Then joy has the exact same definition. If I flip through it, their first definition, when it's used as a noun, is the emotion evoked by well-being, success, or good fortune, or by the prospect of possessing what one desires. So some very similarities to it, but I could still see a little bit of a variance. And then obviously the second definition for happiness is a pleasurable or satisfying experience. An example, I wish you every happiness in life. Or another example, if I had the happiness of seeing you. So there is that feeling, like we were talking about, that state of well-being, that happiness. And joy is that definitely different in the sense that it deals specifically, they said, with the emotion evoked by well-being, success, or good fortune, or by the prospect of having what one desires. Or another definition for it under the noun is the expression or exhibition of such emotion. Another word for it is gaiety, or a state of happiness or felicity described as bliss, or a source or cause of delight. And that, again, like I said, is the noun. And as it also can be a verb, it is to the intransitive verb is to experience great pleasure or delight. Rejoice is the word used example. Another verbs are it to be to enjoy, which is our archaic, as well as gladden, which is another archaic definition for it, which also leads to be glad. Gladden, excuse me, not gladden. Lord, gladden. So essentially all of that wraps in, meaning that there is still a very similar parallel between happiness and joy. But like I said, when I'm going through life, I've noticed that I aspire to happiness and it makes me feel good. But when I felt this intrinsic sense of joy, it, like I said, it just washed over me. It was a wave, and it was addictive. So I want it more often. And that made me kind of think of, what do I need to search within what I'm seeking? Or let me rephrase that. What do I need to do differently or prioritize more to ensure that I am looking at, or I am working toward, seeking joy versus just happiness? Because it seems as if I have joy, happiness will be there. Because for me, when I was reading that definition, I'm instantly thought of possessing what one desires, obviously achieving for success. And then that makes me also think in the same route, does that mean then in order to really experience joy, you have to be very clear about your goals and objectives of what you want? What does joy look like to you? Like I mentioned, for me, one of the greatest things that brings me joy is my sister and my mother, my family. They bring me joy. Yes, they get on my nerves at the same time I get on theirs, but ultimately they bring me joy. And when those moments wash over me of pure joy, it's just because it's, like I said, it's this feeling, there's so much emotion, it's the state of happiness or bliss. And that state of happiness or bliss is not always going to rely on what my sister does. It could just, it seems like it's a combination of her or my mom, or that the source of joy for me, and then my mindset, so that I can be at peace and at rest. Which kind of leads me back to, like I was saying, how important it is to be able to speak over yourself positively, to be your own cheerleader. Because if you're able to speak into yourself positive things, you open yourself up to being able to receive feelings of happiness, feelings of contentment, feelings of rest and solid feeling, joy, happiness. Excuse me. You open yourself up to those things. So, because if you're not speaking into yourself, a lot of times, and you're searching for validation from other people, a lot of times you're always trying to pull from someone. When in actuality, when you are content within yourself, you're open to receiving. And I apologize about stumbling over my words a few moments ago, so I hope that sounds clear. But let me repeat it again just in case it doesn't. A lot of times when we are seeking validation from other people, and we are in that point of trying to pull. So we're constantly looking at people to speak into us, to validate us, because we can't validate ourselves. When we are able to validate ourselves internally, when we're able to speak life into ourselves and be positive, a lot of times you are going to be content because you know that your happiness does not rely on someone else's approval. You know your happiness or your success or your well-being, all of that resides within you because you know how to speak to your fears. And so when you speak to your fears, when you control those aspects of yourself, you open yourself up to be able to receive in that feeling without it having to be a crutch, without it having to be a saving feeling. Because it's like you're already content. So this feeling is just adding a little extra to your contentment. And then you're able to be more receptive to feeling joy, I think. Now that's not, I think, a tried and true tested statement. But I have found in myself, when I was younger, I was very emotionally insecure. And so I was one of those people, I felt, where I was seeking validation from other people to make me feel beautiful, to make me feel strong. So I always aligned myself to try to be more of a resource to them. And in turn, when I was that resource to other people, they would speak into me, which would fill me back up. And I even can equate that back to my love language. And if you've never done the Love Languages by Gary Chapman, I would recommend that you do it. I did it a few years ago and I've done it again. I think I did it again like a year ago. I was just bored and I'm not in a relationship, but I was like, let me try it out. But anywho, the Love Languages by Gary Chapman talks about what do you need as a person to have a successful relationship? What makes you happy? So are you a quality time person, words of affirmation, acts of service, physical touch? What really makes you feel loved and valued? And the love languages doesn't always equate to a romantic relationship, but it could also be applied to relationships that we have with our family members, our friends. I've seen books where it talks about how to utilize that with your children or even in the workplace, because everybody has something that means the world to them, that makes them happy, that fills their cup. Because yes, even though you're your own cheerleader and you're going to speak life into yourself, you still need those affirmations. But it looks different in a way for everyone. So essentially, you have to think about how you receive positive feedback, what makes you feel affirmed and valued. So for me, my love languages are words of affirmation and quality time, words of affirmation. That was what it was back then when I was not fully emotionally content within myself. I leaned into people giving me words. I needed that. I needed to be constantly affirmed. And I think about that because that definitely led me down some gilded paths with relationships, because you wind up in situations where dudes can say anything to you sometimes. Oh, girl, you are just so wonderful. You're this, this, and this. And you take that and you don't necessarily measure the actions that go along with it. So that might have been just a little bit of emotional insecurity and just blind crazy. But that was also a really key part of the fact that my self-esteem did not allow me to be able to speak into myself at that point. So I made bad relationship choices because, dude, some of the guys that I was dealing with or I would date, they could speak to me. They had that slick talk and I would eat it all up because I was being affirmed. They made me feel beautiful. They made me feel loved, and I would believe them. However, as I have gone through counseling and really worked on trying to make sure that I understand my value and accept myself, and it is a journey, God knows it is, all the time it is, my love languages have changed. And so now words of affirmation still do mean things to me, but acts of service is right behind it. So I'm one of those people, I need to see it and I need to hear it. Like there's got to be some consistency. It's like right there. And quality time. So I'm like a triple thing. I need your time, I need your energy, I need your words. I really just like I need a 360 complete human being. So when a man comes at me now, I'm not expecting him to be my everything. I know I'm everything. I'm just looking at you as how you can complement this party. I don't need you to speak into me. I need you to be consistent. So I just kind of threw that out there because I think that that's an easy way to relate it. And I'm going to link the love languages test in the show notes. I would recommend that you do it. Like I said, I did it a few years back. There was a gentleman, a guy I was interested in. He and I kind of did it together so we could see how we matched up. And it was really cool because we had very similar love languages. So I was like, oh my God, we could be able to make this work into a relationship. Unfortunately, it didn't. But, it's still a great opportunity for you to build a new relationship or something I think cool that you could add into your current relationship, because you want to make sure that you're constantly looking at ways of how you can be better for each other and better for yourself. And it may apply to other family members. So sorry to get off on a tangent about the love languages, but I wanted to make sure I showed that correlation, because when you're not confident, when you are still trying to build, when you are seeking validation, it shows up in other areas of your life. And that's not a new thing. I think we all know that. But again, it's just another reason why it is so important to take a beat and start to learn how to speak over who you are and speak into yourself. And like I said, it's not easy but it is worth it, because you want to be able to be open and receptive to emotion, to feelings, to love, to joy. And that's what we're here about. Like I said, being able to speak moments, be able to really speak into ourselves so that we can be receptive to joy, because I want all of you to have moments like I had. That feeling of joy, like I said, it just washed over me. And it's not something that I do have every day. And I'm going to work on it. I'm going to prioritize more moments like that. But it's very important to get very clear about what brings you joy and how you need to speak into yourself to be able to be open to receiving it, excuse me, as well as you have to get very clear about what joy looks like to you, because happiness and joy look very different to all of us. We all have different goals and objectives that we're trying to accomplish, and there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody should. That's what makes us unique and wonderful. But joy and happiness, like I said, with it looking different to each other, needs to be prioritized. So as you are prioritizing speaking into yourself every day, we have to start to prioritize what things make us happy every day. What people make us happy every day. And then looking at how we can take that a step further. What things or people bring us pure, unadulterated joy? I'm talking about, like I mentioned earlier in the episode, the joy that resonates from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet. And you may not get that feeling every day, but we have to be able to prioritize at least feeling that feeling several times a week. It shouldn't be like a monthly thing. It shouldn't be a yearly thing. It should be one of those things that we feel all the time. So that's where it made me, when I felt it recently, made me think, wow, that is something that I have to prioritize all the time. I want to feel that. So I definitely have prioritized making Sunday my time with my sister, because I know that that brings me just unexplainable joy. So I want to make sure that I feel that all the time, at least once a week. So that is our time. I felt joy the other night too, because I went to pick her up from work, and I put on some Michael Jackson, and we had a dance party in the car. We were just like doing carpool karaoke all the way home, and both of us just singing and dancing. And my sister loves old school music. I'm sure she says she doesn't hate my music taste. I'm a big rap person, but I know some of it just is a little too much for her, and she's so sweet and just wouldn't tell me. But we literally just listened to old school music, and I said, what I want us to do is each of us to make a playlist. So at least once or twice a week on our way home, we also incorporate another bonding fun thing that we do, where we dance and we laugh and we sing on the way home. And that, because those moments bring me joy. I want you guys to think about moments that bring you joy. Like I said, it's that inexplicable feeling. You know what joy is. Don't settle for happiness. Happiness is the minimum at this point. Joy is what we should be striving for. And it's not expensive. Or it doesn't have to be. I mean, granted, there might be some shoes in your life, a bag, a trip. There's some shoes, a bag, and a trip one time in my life as well that bring me joy. But you just have to make sure you prioritize it and get real about it. Because like the moments that I'm talking about with you, as you've noticed, they're with my sister. But I have those same moments with my mom. My mom, I feel joy with her when she lets me sit on her lap. Yes, hon, I do sit on her lap. I don't sit all the way on, so don't trip, because I know she's 74. Or when I give her hugs, that brings me inexplicable joy. So now that we're all vaccinated, she will let me steal a hug every once in a while. Those moments bring me joy. So I prioritize being a pain in her behind so I can steal hugs and laughs with her, because I know that those moments bring me joy. I want you to prioritize more moments like that. And you have to, again, define what that looks like for you and go out there and make it happen. Because, again, happiness is the minimum. We all should be happy. You deserve happiness. But joy is something that you should always be striving for, because you deserve to feel joy from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet very often, as many times as you possibly can. I know personally I would like to get to a point where I experience inexplicable joy every day of the week, every day of my life, because I think that life is so short. Time is so short. We have to prioritize those moments over anything. And if we are not having those moments enough, then we are shortchanging ourselves, and we shouldn't do that. Having joy is got to become the norm. So I know for myself, I put it out there, I'm manifesting it, claiming it. I said for the rest of summer, and then I changed it and I was like, for the rest of 2021 and beyond, my priority is joy. If it doesn't bring me joy, I don't want it, because happiness is already my minimum. But it took me a lot to get there. So I challenge you to look at yourself this week and think about, what can I do? Knowing that happiness is the minimum. What can I do this week to make sure I experience joy at least two to three times this week? I know, and that shouldn't sound like a lot. To me, that sounds like probably the bare minimum, even though I know it's the struggle sometimes. But again, like I'm talking about that pure, unadulterated joy. What can I do differently? It could be as simple as hugging your dog, because there's some cute puppies, and I know that would make me happy too. Or just hugging your friend or your family member, your husband or your wife, or whatever. Just who brings you joy? Seeing that person, talking to that person, having some type of connection with that so that you can bring that in. And if it is material, there's nothing wrong. Like I said, it's not a judgment, but what can you do this week to prioritize it? Are there little things? Start to think about that, because you have to get clear. I mean, joy is a manifestation. Like I said, I had to put it in the atmosphere that I am claiming that that's all I want. I want pure, unadulterated joy for the rest of this year and beyond. So I'm claiming and I'm manifesting it and I'm speaking it over myself. So you have to be very intentional as well and speak it over yourself too, so that you can bring that type of energy in. And at the same time, you do have to get very clear about, like I said, being your own cheerleader, being open to being able to receive joy when it is presented to you. Because a lot of times when we're seeking validation, like I mentioned, in other things or other people, we're not open to being able to experience that. So make sure that you are dealing with yourself in those areas. I am always still dealing with myself in that, because even though I am starting to claim more and more my bad bitchness, my beautifulness, my strength, and speaking over into myself more positively, it is always a battle, because it's very easy to get caught up in the cycle of life and to start to, feel to come down on yourself because things don't go the way that you wanted them to. You have to resist that. You have to resist that urge to be negative over who you are. And you have to resist that urge to seek validation from other people. You have to understand everybody is out here going through something, and none of us are perfect. And you have the power within yourself, because remember, life and death is right in your mouth. So you have to be able to speak that energy positively, knowing the power that you carry into who you are, not just other people that you have around you lifting them up. You have to be lifted up. I always say, when I speak to someone else, I'm speaking into me. So even through this podcast tonight, I am speaking over myself as a reminder that I have to constantly make sure that I affirm myself, that I stay open and receptive to the word of love and of happiness and of joy. And I have to understand that, yes, things may come up, but there is nothing so bad that I would allow myself to speak negatively over who I am, because I want to stay open and receptive to joy and happiness. And I can't be a help for other people if I'm not a help from myself. So I am receiving this word just like I am passing it back out to you. This is about reciprocity. This is about good energy. This is about manifestation, because what we are talking about with having joy, like I said, that is a manifestation. So we have to be very intentional. So make sure you are very intentional this week. You deserve it, because you are an amazing person. And I want you to always have joy, because joy is the standard. Happiness is the minimum. And none of you deserve to have anything less than the minimum. You deserve to have even more and exceptional things. So that's why I wanted to talk about possessing joy, possessing the secret of joy, and really starting to tap into it, because I think we need to all make sure that we stay clear and you keep manifesting wonderful things. We're on a growth journey together, and I am praying every day great things, joy, and happiness and love for you all. So I want to thank you for listening this week. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope I gave you some things to think about. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and review my episodes. I really do take your feedback very seriously. And all of my social information will be in the show notes. But if you want to connect with me, please don't hesitate to email me. You can reach out to me at thewelldonelife@gmail.com. You can also find me on Instagram at the Well Done Life Podcast, or you can reach me out to me via my personal page at Pamela L. Davis. Again, I want to thank you so much for listening, for being a part of the crew. This is all about continuing to add value. I am debating whether or not I'm going to take a break next week because I have a little something personal planned that I'm trying to work through. I don't know yet. So I'm not even going to put that in the atmosphere. I'm going to act like we're going to still be here. But I just wanted to go ahead and kind of throw a little teaser out that I may take next week off, but I don't know, because I have something that I'm cooking up for the week after too. So I can't wait to share that with you. I think it's going to be a really great conversation. So again, I'm sending you all out with love, peace, happiness, and prayers, and just belief for great things. Take care of yourself. Wash your hands. Make sure you social distance. Wear a mask where applicable. And eat well, sleep well, love well, and have an amazing week. I will talk to you guys soon.